I want to look at one more song. This song, what's this song about? Anybody?
Someone's heart being broken or maybe being sad.
So it's like a breakup song. Okay, what else?
Or someone maybe like making a mistake, or in the choir it says, you don't have to say just what you did. Being shame or something, and the other person is telling them like, oh, you don't have to like give explanations of what you did. I don't know.
Well, so this one's a little bit more angry, I think. Like, I know what you did. Like, if you look at it in context, you've got a little bit of background story. So I found you when your heart was broken. I took you in, I helped you. I pretty much just like poured everything into you and said, F everybody else, just put you back on your feet. Literally, she's saying that, right? Then what happens?
Oh, the other person took advantage of them.
Ah, yes. So far, we are only just understanding that this is what they want us to know about the story. But think about it. You're only getting one side of the story. So you only have one side of the story to work with in the lyrics. It's whatever the artist or whoever wrote the song wants you to think. So is there any problem here that you find? So if you just went to this song to try and analyze it, if you just said, oh, this is a breakup song, it's like a cautionary tale, the message is to avoid this kind of heartbreak and toxic relationships or something like that, you're still only scratching the surface. In fact, you're only saying what she's already said. Is there anything else that we can get out of this song? So we're talking about songs right now, but we'll be looking at news articles and all kinds of current events and things like that, global issues, and you should never trust what anyone tells you up front because it's only what makes them look good. You're supposed to look for the things where there's inconsistencies and slip-ups. So how about her reaction? Anything there? Is there anything that is off-putting to you that sounds weird?
In the first two parts of the song, it's saying how she put him back on his feet. But going to the other side where it says, just running from the demons in your mind, then I took yours and made them mine. It's like all the other person's problems, she made in hers as well.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever they had gone through, like she took on that burden.
Right. Well, that's still her side of the story. But that's there, right? So she's making sure to lay that narrative out for you. Is there anything that is inconsistent with that narrative or makes you feel that maybe there's a problem on her end with the way that she's thinking about things? What do you guys think about this lyric right here?
I think he's trying to say that it's totally fine if we split apart. It's trying to comfort.
Okay. So Halsey is okay with this, you're saying?
Yeah.
You don't sense any bitterness?
I think it's more like how she helped him out and now he can't go without her. Like, dude, I helped you out. You can't go without me. Like, you think you could live without me? I'm the one who put you back on your feet. Like, I helped you so much.
Mm-hmm. So you guys tell me, do you think if you were in a relationship with someone and they said this to you, would you feel happy about that or would you feel something else? If someone said, you think you could live without me? What kind of relationship does that feel like from that person? Do you feel loved or do you feel something else?
Something else.
Yeah, what's that other thing? Do you feel obligation? Do you feel controlled?
I think it's control.
It kind of sounds like she feels that if she helped someone out, which, maybe all this is true. But even if all of this is true, do you feel like that entitles someone to say this? You think you could live without me? Like, how dare you try to live without me after all that I've done for you? That's okay. Let's say it's not a girl saying that. Let's say it's a guy. Let's say it's a guy who's maybe like paid her bills or done all these things. if she feels controlled or manipulated or oppressed in the relationship, should she feel obligated to stay in the relationship, or should she be able to leave the relationship and not feel like she's in a prison?
She should be able to leave.
Right? Now, we don't know the other side of the story at all, but this is what I'm talking about. So if you just totally take her side with this and you don't catch this kind of thing, this is weird. Think about it in a relationship kind of setting. Even if you've never been in a relationship, if you see this kind of dynamic, it's reminiscent of the Bruno Mars relationship where he says, "Lucky for you, that's what I like." Remember that? So in this scenario, even if she said the song's about G-Eazy and he used her and then left, used her to get some status or something, she can give that context. That's not what you're working with. You're working with what's given here. And so far, whether the relationship is toxic on his end, you also see this toxic mentality, don't you? Is this not toxic to now obligate someone? Because when you're in a loving relationship, should anything be forced? Should there be like guilt that is like the major factor? Or has anyone here known people that were in relationships where because someone else has done so much for them, they feel that the other person is obligated to stay or to perform in a certain way for them? Did you ever think that that was incorrect? Or do you think that that is an acceptable way to think? I mean, is that love? Or at that point, you're not sure if the person did all those things for that person for a loving reason or because then they could hold it over them later on. Kind of creepy, especially with how many people will like cover this song and how many people kind of feel vindicated in thinking this way. So if you are going to make a claim about a song like this, you kind of have to dig for those pieces. And then once you do that, once you see that the person's mask is slipping a little bit, now you can develop an analysis that points to something more like a message that the person is trying to put forward, but it ends up actually putting forward. If she's saying avoid toxic relationships like this, and yet she is showing you the mentality of a toxic relationship in her own thoughts on the matter and the way that she looks at the person and is accusing them, doesn't that kind of defeat the purpose or make it worse? Because meanwhile, the person who feels justified as the victim in the relationship ends up being just as guilty or maybe more, depending on the scenario. See how you get a lot more to talk about that way? I don't know if I've said this already, but have you guys noticed that you or anyone else you'll watch a TV show and you'll kind of associate yourself with the protagonist or the main character. You're not rooting for the villain. So that's because we tend to always put ourselves in the perspective of the hero or the victim. But are we either of those? When do you put yourself in the perspective of, or when are you realizing that you're actually the villain? Most people are like, will always try and force their position in the relationship to being a hero or a victim. That's it. Someone who is benevolent, someone who is doing good, or someone who is being wronged. And they will rarely see themselves as what is probably more true as also a villain. Everyone can be villains, by the way. That person can also be a villain. But the whole point is, if we're not able to see our own wrong, that creates this really weird ego, self-consumed perspective that ends up treating people like crap or holding them to standards, guilt tripping them in relationships, stuff like that. Just a horrible situation. And I don't know if any of you guys like that song, but I know there is a bunch of people who like that. So that's disturbing. Doesn't matter if it's catchy sounding. That lyric is repeated over and over and over in the song. Thinking you could live without me. Like, how dare you, right? So, okay. That's just one aspect that I'm talking about that we need to make sure that we are doing. You shouldn't be trusting anyone fully. Like, don't blindly trust what anyone is saying, especially not influencers, because there is always going to be a motive, and the motive is always going to be selfish. That includes influencers, but it also includes politicians, corporations, anyone who is making an argument, even me. This is an argument to justify my own philosophies, which you are unaware of yet. Potentially, right? Or I'm just trying to show you another perspective that I see people missing, which you need to be able to look from not only the perspective that you've been looking from, but also the other perspectives that you can, so that you can get a better analysis. You can understand the situation better, which now just beating a dead horse.